Hello and welcome. I'm Saeed from StoryPlanet.net. Dive right into the essence of the most captivating books without reading them cover to cover. Whether you're on the go, at the gym, or just relaxing at home, we offer you a unique and enriching listening experience. Today, we are exploring the book Brave New Work, a creation by Aaron Dignan. Brave New Work 2019 is a unique manual on organizational change. Instead of providing a set of prescribed techniques for corporate transformation, it presents recommendations and real-life examples. The responsibility for carrying out the transformation is placed in your hands. Before we delve into these revelations, it's interesting to note that Aaron Dignan, the creator of The Ready, a company focused on coaching and organization design, boasts an impressive client list that includes Microsoft, Airbnb, and Johnson & Johnson. In addition, he serves as an angel investor and has brought his expertise to advisory boards for PepsiCo, American Express, and GE. With 9 key ideas to unveil, brace yourself for a deep dive into this captivating book on StoryPlanet.net. To start, discover the benefits of transforming your organization and unlock the potential to achieve the best work you've ever done. Many workers face obstacles such as outdated processes, hierarchical structures, and endless meetings that hinder their best work. To thrive in the global marketplace, organizations need to embrace change and reinvent the way they work. This involves transitioning from old legacy operating systems to new, flexible, open, and human-centered systems. These blinks provide guidelines to help you find your own unique path to change. Additionally, you'll learn why roundabouts are better than traffic signals, why captains don't always have to give orders, and the difference between complexity and complicatedness. Key idea number 1. Traditional organizations are currently facing a crisis. During World War II, a field manual was created to teach citizens how to use simple sabotage to disrupt communities and commerce. Surprisingly, when leaders today see the list of actions in the manual that interfere with organizations and production, they recognize them as common practices in their own workplaces. Traditional organizations are in crisis as following bureaucratic protocols has become counterproductive. This crisis is evidenced by decreased company lifespan, reduced return on assets, and stagnant productivity growth. Economists may struggle to explain this, but those on the ground attribute it to excessive bureaucracy. Key idea number 2. Businesses are being held back by organizational debt. The article highlights the negative impact of organizational debt on businesses using the example of an auto manufacturer called Favy. In the past, Favy faced bureaucratic hurdles, such as employees needing permission to get a new pair of gloves. This process took around 30 minutes, costing the company significantly more than the actual cost of the gloves. Organizational debt refers to outdated procedures and structures that no longer serve the organization but are still followed. It often arises from automatic responses to problems. The article suggests that the desire for perfect order through imposing rules is deeply ingrained, and understanding its origins can help break this habit. Key idea number 3. Legacy organizations often operate under the assumption that managers are responsible for thinking on behalf of their employees. Legacy organizations are built on the assumption that managers should think for workers, with the belief that this leads to more efficiency and control. This operating system, which includes structures like managers, budgets, and performance reviews, has been in place for over a century and is so ingrained in organizations that it rarely gets questioned. However, this assumption originated during a time when factories were less efficient and workers had to learn on the job, resulting in a more artisanal approach to production. Frederick Winslow Taylor revolutionized the world of work by introducing a system where he measured and calculated how long each step of the production process should take and rewarded workers for adhering to his methods. This experiment resulted in the birth of the legacy organization, which prioritized manager control over employee autonomy. Over time, this assumption became deeply embedded in the business world as common sense. Key idea number 4. Organizations operate as complex systems, not as complicated ones. Organizations are not simply complicated systems, but rather complex systems. Complicated systems like automobile engines and watches have predictable cause and effect relationships. For example, removing a cog from a watch will cease its functioning, but putting it back correctly will make it work again. On the other hand, complex systems, such as traffic and the weather, are dispositional. They can't be fully predicted, and understanding their behaviors requires getting to know their intricacies. Legacy operating systems make the mistake of treating organizations as complicated systems, assuming that there are fixed rules and a scientific understanding of work. However, organizations are made up of complex individuals, and their challenges cannot be solved but only managed. Key idea number 5. Evolutionary organizations should function like roundabouts, allowing a smooth flow of adaptive change and continuous improvement. The author compares traffic signals and roundabouts as different approaches to traffic management and suggests that roundabouts are more effective. They draw parallels between this and the concept of evolutionary organizations, which operate in a similar way. The current norm of traffic signals and legacy organizations assumes that people need constant direction and control, while roundabouts and evolutionary organizations trust individuals to navigate complex situations using their own judgment. The author argues that roundabouts and evolutionary organizations are more efficient, cost-effective, and adaptable than their counterparts. Key idea number 6. Evolutionary organizations prioritize both complexity awareness and fostering positive relationships with individuals. Evolutionary organizations embrace complexity and prioritize empowering their people. By recognizing the intricacies of business systems and individual capabilities, they create an environment where individuals can think for themselves and take ownership of their work. This approach, as exemplified by David Marquet's transformation of the USS Santa Fe submarine, allows for adaptive problem-solving and decentralized control. Moving towards this new operating system requires a unique path for each organization, breaking away from the dogmatism of the old ways. Key idea number 7. The task calls for a re-evaluation of the domains of structure and purpose. Evolutionary organizations have successfully implemented change in various areas, such as authority. One example is the Morning Star Company, where employees write their own job descriptions and set their own salaries, subject to peer review. This approach has led to consistent growth and high revenue for Morning Star. Another example is Buurtzorg, a Dutch home care provider that manages 14,000 nurses with a core team of only 50. They achieve this by organizing nurses into self-managing teams, each focused on providing quality care. When it comes to purpose, organizations should have a eudaimonic goal that promotes human happiness and flourishing. While Tesla's mission to transition the world to sustainable energy is inspirational, it lacks specificity. In contrast, Facebook sets both aspirational and actionable goals by envisioning their position in 30 years and determining what they can do in the next 6 months to move closer to that vision. This approach allows for a balanced focus on the present and the future. Key idea number 8. The task at hand is to reevaluate the areas of focus for meetings and membership. Once, after a long and productive discussion, a team the author worked with decided to discontinue their monthly strategy review. This team had been holding the truth back from one another for far too long. No one got any value from the strategy review, let alone liked it. Guess how much this boring, worthless meeting had been costing them? $3 million per year. Here's the key message. Reconsider the domains of meetings and membership. The average employee regards about half the meetings he attends as a waste of time, and he attends 62 of them per month. But there's another good reason to put meetings under the microscope. They function as a sort of microcosm, a kind of miniature replica of the entire organization. One technique that may help you eliminate unnecessary meetings and introduce superior meeting practices is the meeting moratorium. For 2 weeks, yes, 2 weeks cancel all meetings. This may seem impossible, even reckless, but it's worked for the author. He once worked with a leadership team whose members spent 45 hours in meetings per week. When that team reintroduced meetings after the 2-week moratorium, they were able to do in 18 hours what they'd previously done in 45. After you cancel all your meetings, take those 2 weeks to focus on the pain points. What do you miss? Where would a meeting truly help? You can now start reintroducing meetings. But remember, like an organization, a meeting should have a clear purpose and be structured around that purpose. If it lacks these qualities, it's probably unnecessary. Another crucial domain is membership. Who is in and who is out? Who is welcome at your organization and who isn't? A good way to figure this out is to look at hiring practices. When onboarding a new employee, you want to make sure that the person's personality and passions are aligned with the company's mission and environment. But beware of hiring for culture fit alone. Though a good predictor of success when a company is starting out, it can cause underperformance later on. So it's better to hire people who will contribute to your culture, not just fit within it. Key idea number 9. Change is not something that happens once and is done, but rather a continuous and ongoing process. Change is often perceived as a journey with a clear beginning, an end goal, but this is misleading. Change should be seen as an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. It is more like the merging of liquids, where two elements transform and assimilate together. To achieve meaningful change, we need to change the way we approach it. This means moving away from top-down directives and instead embracing continuous and participatory change. One effective technique is looping, which involves identifying tensions, proposing practices, and conducting experiments in a continuous cycle. By empowering individuals and teams to experiment and find solutions that work for them, we can navigate the complexities of change and unlock our full potential. In conclusion, many modern organizations are operating on a legacy OS, a corporate operating system inherited from 19th century factories. They believe that more control leads to better results. However, a better approach is to reduce control and model organizations on roundabouts instead of traffic signals. By embracing this approach, organizations can become evolutionary organizations. Your first task is to decide which domain you will tackle initially. Thank you for listening to this summary. If you enjoyed this exploration, we invite you to discover other fascinating books on storyplanet.net. Don't wait any longer. A multitude of books, stories, and knowledge await you there. See you soon on storyplanet.net.